So I use the Meraki MR series access points because it allows me to have an easy to configure way to provide important wireless services, not only to myself, but to the people that I work with. And I work in an office where not everyone is IT enabled. So if they need to make a setting change or something like that, instead of having to call me to dig into the dashboard, they can usually log in themselves and figure out what's going on. But the reliability of the Meraki dashboard allows me to log in remotely from wherever I might be and see what they're seeing and help guide them through a solution, while also making it a lot easier to add new devices as we go along instead of having to go through some kind of a cumbersome enrollment process. Yeah, it uses some of the latest Wi-Fi standards that are available to us in the IT industry, so I don't have to worry about slow connectivity. It also allows me to intelligently decide how to deploy the access points so that my clients aren't, overloading one AP, or they can provide fault-tolerant solutions. So if something happens in the office and one of the devices suddenly goes offline for whatever reason, the rest will just kind of pick up and keep on going, and it just makes things easier all around. Well, for me, part of it comes down to the value proposition of Meraki is that it's easy to use, but as someone who's worked in IT a lot, sometimes I want to be able to dig under the hood to find those bells and whistles of things that I might want to configure on my own, and I understand that sometimes that can create challenges. So maybe as someone who's a little bit more seasoned in the IT space, my thought process is hide that, but still let me get into it if I have to, because there are occasions when there's a little setting that I need to mess with. Oh, that's easily, it's an 8. If there's a customer or someone who needs a very specific kind of workload that Meraki can provide, and they're willing to make the investment, I'm totally happy to suggest Meraki. Well, I think the best solutions for Meraki APs are kind of that remote office, branch office type of situation where you have, need to provide coverage for, say, a restaurant or a retail location, but you have less skilled IT employees there. So you can remotely configure those devices to ensure that you're running at peak performance. I think the places where that maybe not the greatest fit is in a traditional large enterprise, and that's mostly because the IT departments there are a little bit more seasoned and full featured, and the advantages of Meraki really can't be recognized there as much as they might be. I think by offering the access points and other Meraki hardware at a low entry cost with a recurring licensing structure, it allows us to help tie the productivity that we get from them to recurring revenue, but also it allows us to enable new features in the devices as we move along that could be utilized by remote workers or by people who are buying new devices, and that helps us kind of understand how our users are using them. I've used a lot of wireless access points in the past, and I can say that Meraki is probably the easiest for me to use and configure. It may not be necessarily the cutting edge of technology, but in my experience, people who are trying to run on the cutting edge are usually trying not to get cut themselves. So someone who's configured wireless access points in the past, having to use a console cable and text command line interfaces, I can say that Meraki's dashboard simplifies the process intensely. All you've got to do is have the serial numbers, plug them into the dashboard. They can be automatically provisioned. All of the policy settings can be pushed down to the devices. You don't have anything to worry about. It just takes care of itself. Mostly we've integrated Meraki with some of the Cisco switching solutions, but also some of the Cisco security solutions. It's helped us out quite a bit because one of the things that you can find that's challenging with wireless access points at the edge is the security that's built into them really needs to leverage a lot of other solutions in order to be fully functional. And by doing that, I think it gives us a real capability to kind of leverage some of the advanced security solutions that are available from Cisco while still leveraging the ease of use that you get from a product like Meraki. I think the scalability comes in at about a 7 for me, and it has nothing really to do with the product itself. I think it's more of the positioning of the Meraki dashboard, kind of edging the simplicity over the deep contextual configuration type things. I mean, giving me a little bit more access to tweak certain things would definitely raise that rating. Yes. 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 I use a lot of software, like for remote access VPNs and things like that, and I would definitely recommend that. advances that companies like Meraki and Cisco are making in that kind of space is really, helping me to be able to work from wherever I am.